My name is Eric Manis. We've met before. I'm the president of Orange Keys. I'm also involved in Welcome Week, so I saw you quite a bit there.
Right. Hi.
Yes, ma'am. How are you today?
I'm doing great. I took a tour this morning that got me really excited.
That's awesome. The campus is beautiful, and it's a little quieter these days, so it's a really nice tour. But that leads me to my first question. What's your favorite part of Sam's campus so far?
I like the art. I think there's a lot of whimsical art,
Mm-hmm.
and I like art generally. And I don't know, you can see over my shoulder, I've got a
Yes,
very
ma'am.
vibrant print there, and you'll have to come to my office sometime. I've got lots of very colorful art that means a lot to me personally. I like the fact that the university has been very intentional and eclectic in beautifying the spaces. So I love that.
I think there's not a part of campus that isn't beautiful, so I think that's a really exciting part of Sam Houston, especially for the students as well. What is something that you would like us to know about you that's not tied to being the president of Sam Houston?
I don't know how fun it is, but it's meaningful to me. I collect people.
Okay.
I like relationships.
Yes, ma'am.
And it may be a benefit of having lived a lot of different places as a kid and even as an adult, but I really get energized by meeting people and learning about their families and their hobbies and their culture and their meals, and just the way they live their lives. And so as I've moved from place to place, I've been able to form relationships and develop some nice connectedness is a better word, with people. And so I think that's me in a nutshell. I like relationships.
That's awesome. I mean, well, that's something we look for in a president. We want student engagement, and that's so cool because that means we're going to be able to talk to you and hear your story as well.
I hope so.
What are some goals you seek to accomplish here at Sam Houston?
So I see the role of a president as really being a facilitator. I mean, obviously, we have a lot of activities on this campus, and it's a pretty big campus, so a lot of students, a lot of faculty and staff, a lot of academic programs, a lot of initiatives. And you've got people who are really experts in their areas and need support, resources, advocates. And that's one reason I'm taking these tours. I'm trying to get a real sense and understanding of the good work that's done here. And so my biggest goal really is to see how these opportunities that arise can be leveraged. You may be working on one initiative and not know that someone 3 buildings over is working on something that could benefit from a relationship with you, mm-hmm. or some sort of collaboration. And so I think having someone to look at internal and external opportunities, internal and external threats, trying to find resources and leveraging all that so that people can really be the very best that they can be at achieving the goals of the university is probably the best thing that I can do. That said, some things are just so critical to the success of the university, and they fall directly on me. It's really important that we continue to get support for the university and the legislature. It's very important that we continue to have the support of our alumni, friends, and donors. It's very important that we are managed fiscally responsibly. And we've got great people in the vice president's levels doing that kind of work. And of course, Dr. Hoyt was phenomenal, that kind of work as well. And so the general health of the university, the processes for strategic planning are part of the roles of the university president.
Yes, ma'am. And I love that. That was a perfect definition in my opinion. So I love that. So from the student side, what would you define as effective student engagement on campus, especially during these times of COVID and with masks? I know that makes it harder as well to connect with students.
So you said that you like the fact that I was taking a tour because you can approach me.
Mm-hmm.
good, bad, or ugly. I don't usually wait for you to approach me. I'm that person who gets in your face and says, "How are you? How are things going?" And you know, I'll go up to students who are always so kind, but I'm sure they're going, "Who are you? And why are you disturbing my thought or my, you know, I'm working on my homework, whatever it is." But it's so important that people not get lost, that students don't fall through the cracks. And I look for students myself to say, "How are you? How are you coping? How's your major? Is it different than you expected?" How, you know, just I try to ask.
Yes, ma'am.
It's so important though to realize that what you need and what I need are probably different things. So I mean, actually, you and I are probably very similar. You're the leader of an organization. You're probably an extrovert. You are out there trying to see how you can help, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And there are other students like you, but there are also students who are very serious. Not that we're not serious, but they're very serious about their goals. They're very focused. They're not social particularly. They don't want to be in a crowd of 30 people or 50 people. But it's very important that they form relationships and are connected to something. So to me, the perfect student engagement is really providing options for all of our students, whether it's the gregarious, the person who wants to be socially engaged, the person who wants to be connected with people of similar values and beliefs. We have people who are interested in music. We have people who are interested in politics and history. We have people who are interested in social causes. They need ways to connect with one another, right? Mm-hmm. And in some cases, you need people to talk with you about, I mean, it could be esports, you know, some sort of gaming or
yes, ma'am.
something else. So I think it's really important when we deal with programming, and I'm really proud of our Office of Student Affairs and Student Activities, because I can tell they see this.
Yes, ma'am.
We have to really know who our students are and provide opportunities for them to connect in ways that are familiar to them. Now, in COVID, it's different, and I am concerned because, so are you a senior?
Yes, ma'am.
You've been here, and you know it's different. You know what it's normally like.
Yes.
But you also already have your network.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, all the Orange Keys have the network. You're already plugged in. Well, as a new student coming in, maybe as a transfer student or maybe as a freshman, you are experiencing this campus that is not as vibrant physically as usual.
Yes.
So I think the perfect engagement there is having an opportunity for every student coming in, every new student, to find ways to link with people they find interesting. Yes. Or relate to over a subject, a topic, or something of enjoyment, because we can't let them just go to class and then they need to be socially isolating, but not from everyone. They need a friend.
Yes, ma'am. And actually, I was going to ask you about student co-curricular development, but that was, you answered that with that question. I think you're very right. I think we need to keep them engaged and give them something on campus that they can relate to and someone as well. I was a transfer student, and my first semester I took night classes. So I understand that semester of not being able to connect with students, you know, my own age and get to form ideas and friendships. So I love that answer. Thank you so much for that one. Are there any programs or initiatives that you've seen at other institutions or previous institutions that you've worked at that you would like to see brought to Sam Houston?
There are some that I think have been very successful based on who the student body is. And so I'm just learning who our student body is. And I think those programs have to be targeted to them. And so one of the things that was very important in my last institution is having opportunities for military connected families, because at Austin P, 1 in 4 students was either an active duty military service member, a veteran, or the dependent of a military person. So we had a lot of activities and organizations for military. We also had a non-traditional student center. It was called ANTS, and it was a cultural center for students who were older or married, had families. And so how do you get them connected? And how will you get them connected now when they're not only dealing with the COVID reality, but they're dealing with their children who may be taking classes virtually as well, or they put them on the bus and then they're wondering how they're doing all day. So I would just say that I need to know more about who our students are, but I really believe the programming for affinity groups is important. And my sister-in-law is Thai, and she came to the U.S. many years ago to get a master's degree in nursing, and she went to Wayne State in Detroit. Now, she could have gone also to Oregon, and Orwan has never been to Oregon. And so I tease her a lot and say, how in the world did you pick Detroit over Oregon, right? And at the time she picked, she had not been to the U.S. And she said it was very simple because Wayne State and Detroit had a robust public transportation system, and I wasn't going to have a car. Oh, good point. Now, many years later, Orwan has obtained that master's degree. She got a PhD from the University of Alabama, Birmingham. She's a professor of nursing, excellent English speaker, great scholar. But there are times that she still wants to speak her language. She wants to speak Thai to other Thai people and feel comfortable. And I've talked to her about this many, many times. So when we talk about affinity groups, we're not really talking about separating. We're talking about opportunities, say, for those non-traditional students or international students, whoever they are, to have some relaxation with people who are interested in the same things or have the same issues with daycare or whatever it is. And so I think learning who we are and then making sure that people can engage with people who are different from them, but also engage with people who have similar issues and similar concerns is also very, very important.
Yes, I couldn't agree more. We've got time for two more questions. So one, I know a lot of people have asked in Welcome Week, because after meeting you, it was really neat. One of the students was like, you said hi to them. It was a new student on campus. And they're like, excuse me, like, who was she? I was like, oh, that's Dr. White. She's the new president of the university. And he goes, she's out here? Like, so I know that was so cool, but he asked where you were previously before Texas. And I know you're moving back to Texas. So what has that been like? And how does it feel being back here?
I'm pretty excited to be back. Although I say that, I told the chancellor, even if Sam Houston State were in Michigan, I would have been interested, just because Sam Houston State is such a fabulous place. I mean, it's just an iconic institution. So I would have been interested wherever it was. But I'm within a 4-hour drive of my family, all of my family except for my brother. So my dad's in Weatherford. I have a daughter and her family in Austin, a daughter and her family in Euless, and my son and his family are in Paris. And so in the last 6 years, it hasn't been possible for anybody to just say, hey, Mom, we're going to come for the weekend.
Yeah.
But they did this last weekend. I've been to see my dad once, and I hadn't seen him since February. He's 85. We wore masks. We did not hug, socially distanced. And then my son and his wife and 2 kids came this last weekend. We went fishing, had a great time. We masked, socially distanced. I was very, very careful. That is priceless to me. Priceless.
That is so exciting. That's so wonderful to hear. I'm really happy for you. That's wonderful. And so I guess to wrap it up, thank you again for coming in. This has been so amazing to get to talk to you and ask these questions. I know a lot of students have been excited to get to know you better. But is there anything you would like to say that may help inspire students to stay committed to their education amidst the COVID-19 challenges that we're facing currently?
Yes, I would like to say 2 things. One, particularly focus on COVID-19. This is the weirdest thing I've ever experienced in my life. I've never seen anything like it. Mm-hmm. And it makes everything harder. It's harder to work. It's harder to study. It's harder to live. It's harder. But it won't get easier by not staying focused. I mean, we're going to be in this mess regardless of what we're doing. And so I encourage students to stay committed and stay focused on the education that is important to you, because then when we get through this, you'll be much farther along making progress to your goal if you hang in there. We don't know how long this is going to last. We don't know how long the effects are going to be. If the economy is severely weakened for a long period of time, this education is going to be more important than ever, so that you can compete in a tough job market. So stay committed. If you need help, get help. Don't be afraid to ask anybody. I guarantee you there are people on this campus who can help you if you're struggling. So make sure you do that. The second thing I want to say to all students, if I'm speaking to the Orange Keys, I'm speaking to overachievers anyway. I was not an overachiever when I was an undergraduate. I did graduate in 3 years. I worked very hard, but I worked at a job as well as going to school, and I had a very exuberant social life. And so it was, I was not as focused on school as I should have been. I didn't get really serious until I went to grad school. When I went to grad school, everything changed, and it's been full steam ahead since. So the other thing I like to tell students is, if you fail, get back up. If it's hard, keep going. If you make a mistake, try not to make the same one again. It's not how you start, it's how you finish. And so just stay plugged in. That's my message to students.
Perfect. Thank you so much.